In this video, we'll be looking at the winter storm impacting the country with ice in the south and snow in the north. Places in the northeast will see heavy snow, sleet, and ice. Some areas could receive over a foot of snow. After that, we'll be looking at the long-range pattern where things look like they will be quieting down, at least for now. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, Will here back again with the weather, and today's focus is going to be looking at this winter storm that's impacting most of the country. Right now, taking a look at the current radar this morning, we have an area of sleet, rain, freezing rain, and snow breaking out across portions of northeast Texas, the northern half of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri. This is where our highest ice threat's going to be. We also have some rain showers moving off through the mid-Atlantic. We have a little bit of light snow around the Great Lakes, and over in California we have a little disturbance bringing some light snow and rain showers. Aside from that, things are pretty quiet right now, but this area of rain, freezing rain, and snow is going to grow, and it's going to be very impactful to some spots. Places in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas are already reporting hazardous travel conditions, and it's only going to worsen from here. Here's a current look at the watches and warnings. We currently have a large area of winter weather advisories in purple, and in pink are winter storm warnings where ice accumulation, sleet, and snow amounts are all going to be higher. Meanwhile, up in the northeast where the storm's expected to hit later in the week, we have some winter storm watches already in place. We also have some in place for parts of West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Across parts of the Rockies, we have a lot of winter weather advisories as well as winter storm warnings, especially in the higher elevations, as that disturbance from California brings areas of heavier snow. Alright, so now we'll switch over and take a look at the timing and impacts. Currently, we have an area of sleet extending from northeast Texas up through much of Oklahoma into northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. Just to the south of that, areas like Dallas and Little Rock, you guys are all getting some light freezing rain right now and a little bit of sleet mixed in. To the south of that, you're getting a nice cold rain for now. And it's probably going to stay that way because the cold air is having a hard time getting any farther south. So as we go through this afternoon to 3, 4, 5 p.m., this area continues to expand, going up into southern Illinois, parts of Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, northern Texas, and as far south as central Arkansas. In these areas, travel is going to be very hazardous. And these are where those winter storm warnings are in effect. As we get into the evening hours, it starts to intensify a little bit, especially across parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, as well as up to the northeast as moisture continues to flow to the north. This is what the radar could look like around 4 a.m. Light freezing rain continues across Texas, an area of heavy freezing rain across portions of north central Arkansas, and some sleet and snow up toward the Ohio Valley. We got a lot of moisture streaming up north from the Gulf. And our freezing line is right through here, so all this moisture getting north of that line is turning into wintry precipitation. So as we go into daybreak tomorrow, it starts to lighten up a little bit, but it still continues in these same areas. Texas, including Dallas, you're still getting ice. Oklahoma City's right on the edge of this. Little Rock, you could be right on the edge of ice. Up into northeast Arkansas, toward Illinois. And much of Missouri is getting all kinds of different winter weather, anywhere from snow in the north, sleet in the middle, and freezing rain in the south where that warmer air is in place. By 5 p.m. tomorrow, things are lightening up in Texas and Oklahoma. In north central Arkansas, we still got some freezing rain coming down. However, the heaviest stuff is over, and the freezing rain is moving up north into parts of Illinois and Indiana. And to the north of that freezing rain, we got sleet and snow ongoing. As we get into overnight Thursday, this thing finally moves out of here. Now we'll take a look at snow, sleet, and ice totals according to the North American model. Freezing rain totals. In Texas, anywhere from a glaze to a couple tenths of an inch. In Arkansas, these totals are expected to be a bit higher, anywhere from a quarter inch to maybe up to 3/4 of an inch in some spots. It could even be locally higher in the higher elevations, and this will likely cause some power outages as well as very hazardous travel. There'll also be some lighter ice accumulations up into parts of the Ohio Valley. However, it'll be a lot lighter than what's going on in Arkansas. Here's a look at sleet accumulations. The highest area for sleet accumulations is going to be from central Oklahoma up through parts of Arkansas into Missouri. Amounts anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of sleet are possible. There could be a dusting of sleet as far south as central Texas as well. The northern half of Arkansas might get a little bit of sleet out of this, and Illinois up into Indiana, you guys could see maybe a ½ inch of sleet as well. As for snow, it's not going to be as much of an issue. Over in the Rockies, of course, where those winter storm warnings are, anywhere from 5 inches to a foot depending on elevation. But over here, there could be anywhere from a dusting up to maybe 3 inches in some localized spots. It depends where those heavier bands of snow set up once it switches over from sleet. However, snow isn't really going to be the main story here. It's going to be the freezing rain and sleet. Now we'll switch over and take a look at the Ohio Valley. This is when it's really going to get started in the Ohio Valley. 8 p.m. sleet is starting in Illinois and southern Indiana as well as parts of Kentucky. And as we get through the overnight hours, conditions are going to worsen in these areas. As we get into midnight, things are pretty light still. A little bit of light snow across parts of central Indiana, Illinois, and maybe even into Ohio, with some sleet to the south of that as well as some freezing rain mixed in. As we go later into the night, into the early morning hours, things start to pick up a bit as that moisture starts to go north. By 11 a.m., things are really south of the area, but southern Illinois, southern Indiana, parts of northern Kentucky, and southern Ohio are all getting a little bit of ice possibly. And then as we go into Thursday afternoon, all this moisture surges northward, and this is when it's probably going to be the heaviest in these areas. So Thursday evening, we got a mixed bag of precipitation across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. The southern areas of these states are receiving rain, freezing rain, sleet in the middle, and snow in the northern areas. Meanwhile, up in Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, you guys are all receiving some light snow. Heading into Thursday night, it starts to move to the northeast. Got an area of heavier freezing rain ongoing across parts of central Ohio as well as central Pennsylvania. And there's a little bit of freezing rain south of that as well in parts of Maryland and Virginia. There's a lot of light snow to the north. It shouldn't be anything too heavy, but there is light snow across Michigan, Wisconsin, and just around the Great Lakes in general. And as we go into early Friday morning, it starts to quickly slide off to the east, possibly ending as rain in spots like Ohio as the warm air surges to the north a bit. And by noon on Friday, things should be in the clear. However, there could be some hazardous travel conditions in spots, and there could be some lingering lake effect snow bands. As for totals in these areas, freezing rain. It's going to be highest across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Pretty light across parts of Illinois and Indiana, a glaze to maybe 1/4 of an inch. Across Ohio, could be anywhere from 1/2 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch. A lot of Pennsylvania, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to up to over 1/2 an inch, going down as far south as northern Virginia. As for sleet, there isn't going to be too much of it, maybe up to a few tenths of an inch. Over in Pennsylvania, it might be a little bit higher where that deeper cold air is, maybe an inch or two, across parts of north central Pennsylvania and maybe even southern New York. As for snow, it's going to be north of all the freezing rain and sleet around the Great Lakes especially, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches, locally higher where those lake effect bands are. It's nothing too out of the ordinary, but it could cause some issues on the roadways. With that being said, let's look at the northeast now. This storm is really going to start cranking once it gets into the northeast, and it all really starts to begin Thursday afternoon. Thursday at 3 p.m. we got a little bit of freezing rain and sleet across parts of Maryland, northern Virginia, and maybe even southern Pennsylvania. Things really go downhill from here. As we go into Thursday, the late evening into overnight, this starts to increase, it starts to move northward. Sleet and freezing rain start to cover Pennsylvania. It starts to move north, affecting a lot of New York, and then some snow starts to break out on the northern end of this where that deeper, colder air is. As we go into early Friday, this starts moving to the north a little bit, and heavy snow starts to break out from many areas. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, a lot of Massachusetts, heavy snow is possible. Meanwhile, in southern New York, heavy sleet is possible through Connecticut and Rhode Island, and a lot of freezing rain across much of central Pennsylvania. New York City, you're kind of in the middle of everything. A little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of sleet is possible. There could also be some rain mixed in. Philadelphia, you're looking like you could get some freezing rain. Up in Boston, it looks like you're going to get snow and maybe a little bit of sleet as well. Now, as we go toward midday on Friday, this all continues. That sleet moves a little bit more to the north. Boston, you start getting a little bit more of that sleet. And that heavy snow moves up into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Meanwhile, in Connecticut and Rhode Island, you've switched over to freezing rain. New York City, you're back at rain. Philadelphia, you're back at rain. But everywhere north of that's going to be a mess. Meanwhile, in the higher elevations down here in West Virginia, you guys could get some sleet and freezing rain and snow. Going through Friday afternoon, it finally starts to push out, still bringing heavy rain and sleet to parts of Massachusetts northward, a little bit of freezing rain in Connecticut and Rhode Island. And then as we get into Friday evening, it finally moves out of here. A little bit of snow left in Maine. As for totals up here, freezing rain is going to be the heaviest across Pennsylvania, like I mentioned, 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch possible. There could be a glaze all the way up to New York City, up into Connecticut and Rhode Island, however. And down in northern Virginia, you could get 1/4 to 1/2 an inch. And Washington, D.C., you guys could see a glaze of ice as well. As for sleet, there's going to be this swath of anywhere from 1 to 3 inches from north central Pennsylvania up through possibly Massachusetts. Where this band exactly sets up is still not known for sure. It could be down here, it could be up here. But that's going to be the divider between freezing rain and snow. And anywhere north of that is going to get the heaviest snow. Current snow predictions. Anywhere along and north of this line will likely see the highest accumulations. A lot of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, even parts of northern Connecticut and northern Rhode Island. You guys could all see anywhere from a few inches to over a foot in the higher elevations. Boston, anywhere from 5 to 10 inches is a good bet depending on where that heavy band sets up. Buffalo, a few inches is a good bet for you. Down in Philadelphia and New York City and DC, snow isn't as likely. It's going to be more of a sleet and freezing rain event. But these areas up here are going to get some heavy snow. and it's going to be very impactful to people's lives. So like I said, the main timing for this is Thursday into Friday, and then it'll move out of here as we go into Saturday. One last thing I'm going to look at is the weather pattern over the next week. So after this storm, which we got right here, things are going to quiet down a bit. And these reds are areas of calm weather. This blue is active and unsettled weather. And as we go into the weekend, this storm system moves out of here. And then those reds and oranges move in, meaning a calm weather pattern is going to set up for much of the U.S. And this could go on for several days, but eventually it's going to come to an end. But this is far out, and I'm not going to get into the details of this because there are so many uncertainties. But what we do know is there's going to be an extended period of calmer weather after this storm. We just got to get through this, and then we can finally have a breather. Anyways, that's all I got for today's video. If you're still with me, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe, and share. It would be much appreciated. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day. Stay safe if you're out there traveling, and I'll see you guys in the next video.